Hello, this is 9.4 video notes. What I need you to do is write the title at the top of your paper and split your paper into 4 equal sections. Pause now so you can do so, and when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. On the top right of your video notes, I want you to write here direct variation. That's a relationship when the ratio of y to x is constant. And we've actually talked about direct variation earlier this year when we were looking at proportional relationships. And in proportional relationships, we had an equation similar to this where it said y equals kx. In this case here, we're going to put an m because m is going to represent our constant rate of change or our slope. And then it'll lead us into the next lesson. So it's the same idea. Direct variation and proportional relationships are very much the same thing. So you're going to have the equation y equals mx, or you can have the equation y over x equals m. This equation here you would use when you're trying to find the constant rate of change or the slope. This is the constant rate of change or the slope. So go ahead and box these two expressions or equations here, and then also make a little note that this m, this is going to represent the constant rate of change, or like I said, the slope. And pause the video if you need to write all that down before we move on to the graph part. Okay, so now for the graph. On a graph, you'll see that this is supposed to be a coordinate plane here. This is just the first quadrant. And you'll see this line going through the coordinate plane, going through the origin, and it's straight. And remember when we talked about proportional relationships, we mentioned that graphs of proportional relationships had to be a straight line, and it had to go through the origin. The same thing is true with direct variation. It's just another way of saying that y and x are proportional to each other. So the graphs are going to look the same. Okay, on the top right, I want you to copy this down, pause the video to do so, and when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at each of these for problem 1, A, B, C, and D, and we're going to see which ones show a direct variation. Now remember, when we talk about direct variation, when we're talking about the equation form, it's going to follow this format, y equals mx, where m is going to be a number that represents our constant rate of change. Okay, so when we're looking at 1a, we see y equals 1/5 x. That is in that form, y equals mx, and m is our 1/5. So go ahead and write that y equals mx in red and point an arrow from m to 1/5. Our constant rate of change is that 1/5. And the answer to 1a is that, yes, it is a direct variation. So write yes next to it and box your answer. So let's move on to, let's skip B for now, but if you look on to C, because it's also an equation, you'll see that it's not in the same form y equals mx because it has this plus 10. So this plus 10 makes it where y and x are not proportional to each other. So for this one, we can say, no, it is not a direct variation. So go ahead and write no and box your answer. Okay, for 1b, looking at the graph, remember for a direct variation or proportional relationship, the graph of the direct variation should be a straight line and it should go through the origin. Okay, so for part B, 1b, it is not going to be a direct variation because it does not go through the origin. So we're going to write no. And now for part D, to figure out whether a table shows a direct variation, what you want to do is see if there's a constant rate of change. Okay, so in a table, the first column usually represents the x. Okay, so we'll just say that this is the x, and the second column is your y values. Okay, so what you want to do is see if y divided by x is going to be the same ratio. So here for the first ordered pair, we have 165 miles in 3 hours. So we put 165 over 3. and that equals 55. And then you would do the same thing for the next two pairs to make sure that it has the same constant rate of change. So 220 over 4, that's going to also equal 55. And then for the last one, 275 over 5, when you divide those, that would also equal 55. So then that would mean that this table shows a direct variation. We're going to write yes. And then box your answer. Okay, for problem 2 down below, I need you to copy down what you see on your screen, pause the video to do so, and when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. Okay, so for this problem, what we're going to do is we're going to write an equation to express this relationship, and the relationship is the number of people per sedan, and it is a direct variation because it's a straight line going through the origin. So when it is a straight line going through the origin, all we need to do is first find the constant rate of change. And to do that, you can take either this ordered pair or this ordered pair or any ordered pair that you see on the line, and you're going to find the m, or the constant rate of change. So here for m, I'm going to use the 2, 8. It's going to be 8 divided by 2, and then that's going to equal 4. Okay, so that's my constant rate of change. And now to write the equation, we just write it in this form. Y equals, and then 4x. And then this is the equation. And then 4, if they ask you what the constant rate of change represents, the 4 represents, in this case, the number of people per sedan. Again, the 4, the constant rate of change, is going to be the number of people per sedan. Okay, now on the lower left side of your notes, I want you to copy what you see on your screen, pause the video to do so, and when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. So for number 3, we have the cost of peanuts varies directly with its weight. 2 pounds costs $5.80. Write an equation for this relationship. Okay, so the key words here is that it varies directly. Okay, so that means it has a direct variation. So again, what you want to do when you know it's a direct variation, to find the equation, you first have to find the constant rate of change. Okay? And for the constant rate of change, which is going to be our m, we want to find the rate here. And we know that it's $5.80, okay, for the peanuts, but that's for 2 pounds, okay? So we're going to write that fraction. So now you have 5.80 over 2, and then you're going to simplify it. So then for the equation to represent this relationship, our equation will be y equals 2.90x. Okay, before we continue with part B, what I need you to write is the movie clue, or draw a picture of a baseball. Since we're talking about peanuts, peanuts is a traditional snack at baseball games. If you can't draw a baseball, just draw a ball and label it baseball. And now for part B, we're going to talk about what does the m represent, the constant rate of change, in this case right here. So the 2.90, if it asks you what it represents, they want you to explain what it means in terms of the problem. So if you look at the problem above, it says that it's 2 pounds for $5.80. And when we took the cost and divided it by 2, we found it's 2.90. So this here is the cost per pound. So we're going to go ahead and just say it's the cost per pound. You can write it as a complete sentence. It's the cost per pound of peanuts. And that's all for your notes. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.